Bill, I've trained jiu-jitsu for self-defense, not sport. Am I in the right school? We do a lot of sport activities. What do you think? Guys, my name is Bill Jones. I'm the head instructor of top-level martial arts in beautiful downtown Cuyahoga Falls. I'm a black belt under Master Pedro Sauer. You're watching Professor's Corner. Do me a favor, if you like what I'm talking about, if you have your own thoughts on the subject, I want to hear them. I want to see what you have to say. I want to see what you have to say if you don't like what I'm talking about, too. Just put it in the comments below. Don't forget, I keep forgetting to mention every single month we do have a gi giveaway. So don't forget to put some comments down there. You have to be a subscriber, and I give away a free gi. All right. So this question comes up a lot in jiu-jitsu, and it's just because of a few things. I think the first thing is that self-defense doesn't mean the same thing to everybody. I think some people, if I say self-defense, they think about a fight, like an actual what I would call like agreeable combat, like two dudes just duking it out. Some people immediately think of like a on the street ambush situation where you know someone comes up and they're mugging you. And some people think of it as like a sexual assault type situation. And I would say that all three of those wrap up into self-defense for sure. So the question is, you know, how is jiu-jitsu preparing me for that? Especially if I'm in a jiu-jitsu school that focuses on sport. So that's the approach I'm going to take for this video. So if you have a different approach or some different parameters, you know, I think you could also talk about law enforcement wrapped up in self-defense. I think you could talk about military engagement wrapped up in self-defense, where you have these rules of engagement that you have to follow in each of those circumstances. But for the most part, I'm talking about the average person in a situation. Generally not mutual combat. I would say I'm opting more for sexual assault prevention and you know, ambush mugging style self-defense. So I always take this from a military point of view just because that's how I am. I was in the military, and most self-defense is going to happen in an ambush situation, meaning it was a situation that in a lot of ways you didn't see coming. You were funneled into a problem area, and once you got there, that's when the engagement began. In the military, you know, if you're on a patrol and you're ambushed, in general, people aren't supposed to survive ambushes, right? You're in what's called a kill zone, and it is supposed to just destroy the enemy. So the general train of thought is to attack back into it because you can't run away. The exfil points are supposed to be closed. And it's kind of the same in a self-defense situation. So we're talking about a situation where I'm unable to escape, either because I'm trapped or my family is with me and I can't move at the pace I would want to move, right? Like if I can run fast, but my 6-year-old daughter can't, well, I can't just run away and leave my daughter there. I'm not going to do that. So what do you do? How does jiu-jitsu help you in these situations? The first thing I would say is, look, if there's a gun involved, if there is a weapon involved, don't try to be the hero. Okay, that this should go without saying. Just give them what they're looking for. Give them what they want. If they want the keys to your car, give them the keys to your car. If they want your wallet, give them your wallet. These things are very replaceable. And I think that every self-defense expert on the earth talks about this ad nauseum. Like, you're not faster than a bullet. Yeah, it's coming out that gun in a straight line, but you know, all it has to do is point at you for a second and you're gone. You know, now how do you protect your daughter, right? Same thing with a knife. A knife is a very dangerous weapon. It stabs into you. It's not just like cutting your skin, right? It's stabbing into things that are inside of you, internal organs. So these are very dangerous situations, and you know, sexual assault, it's probably against someone who's bigger and stronger. Now, that's a hand-to-hand situation usually or often, so that may be a little different. But when it comes to like a mugging, someone has a weapon, they're pointing it at you, they're asking for something, they haven't shot you yet. So in general, they may not shoot you. Okay, if they wanted to kill you, they would simply put the gun to your head, pull the trigger, and then take what they want. And there are stories of that all over. How do you defend that? Luck at best. You know, maybe you turn. I have a buddy in Virginia who that happened to. He turned at the right time, and they didn't kill him just out of luck. So keep that in mind. There's some situations out there that you simply can't do anything about. But someone pulls a gun on you, will jiu-jitsu prepare you for that? Will anything prepare you for that? I'm gonna give you an unpopular opinion here in the jiu-jitsu community, especially the self-defense jiu-jitsu community. I think that a fighter or someone who fights MMA, someone who does a lot of sport jiu-jitsu, has a mental mindset that is going to be more prepared for that situation than someone who does not in general. And the reason is they are used to using their skills at a higher level of a higher state of emergency. So they're used to the adrenaline dump. They're used to all of that. Now, are they used to someone shoving a gun in their face? No, of course not. You don't know what you're going to do until it happens. But if you compete, you're used to dealing with what I call like cloud hands. And it's like when you start competing, like those first couple grips I take when I compete, man, it feels like I'm grabbing a cloud. It just doesn't, like, things don't feel the same as what they do when you're in the academy and super relaxed and, talking to your buddy as you're rolling and everything. It's just a different situation. So they're used to that. They're used to dealing with these things. And I think that, from a mental standpoint, is extremely powerful. So I think that whether you train at a self-defense school or a self-defense school, I'll put that in parentheses, or a sports school or whatever, you should consider competing if you are training for self-defense. Police tend to hire, who train tend to do better just in general because they use this on the regular, right? They have to actually physically restrain human beings on the regular basis. So back to the original question, though. I feel like I'm getting off tangent. Is my sports school, going to prepare me? I would say this. This has always been my belief. Jiu-jitsu, boxing, any of these martial arts, it doesn't matter which one it is. They can protect you. They can give you tools by which you can protect yourself and your family. However, how do I want to say this? You need to be prepared for that higher stress level. And I think that the more you've trained, the better prepared you're going to be. If you've been boxing for a year versus 10 years, you're going to be more on target. You're going to strike better. You're going to strike faster. You're going to do things better. Same thing with jiu-jitsu. It takes a long time to get good at. You're going to execute your techniques better. Now, I think the real crux of the question is, my first day in class, we were, and this is the cliche to say, I understand that, we were doing barambolos and taking the back, like, how's that going to help me in a self-defense situation? I don't know. It might. I don't know. Maybe they knocked you down and you're on the ground and you happen to have the opportunity to roll over. But I will say this. I think if you take any average person, and let's take weapons out of the picture, because like I said, you should give that person what they want unless you honestly believe you're about to die or someone's about to die, in which case you need to act as violently as humanly possible, as quickly as humanly possible. It's not about taekwondo or boxing or jiu-jitsu at that point. It's about survival. And the techniques are tools that you can use, but if you don't take action very quickly and in a very violent method, you might die. Okay, so let's just keep weapons out of it. But, someone starts to try to beat you up, is a barambolo or a leg entanglement going to help you? I don't think that they're not going to help you. The ability to maneuver your body in a way that is unique and unlikely in most circumstances is going to be very unpredictable to a person who has no idea what's going on. So, if you're in a fight, maybe someone like just turned around and decked you and you find yourself on the ground and they're standing over you and you happen to grab their leg and wrap it up in a De La Hiva hook, grab their arm, what are they going to hit you with? They don't have anything to hit you. Now you put them on their back and roll over and take their back. They don't know what's going on. And I'm not suggesting that you should practice that as an MMA approach or as like your self-defense maneuver. I'm just saying the average person hasn't got a dang clue what's going on when that happens. They're lost. So it's important to take that into account when you're doing your training. I am returned. So yeah, like I would argue that any of the techniques are difficult, and you're going to fall back on the techniques you train the most. So just because you're at a quote sport school, they train arm bars, they train rear naked chokes, they train darces, they train collar chokes, they train triangles, they train all these things. Now they may also train a lot of transitions, um, and you may not train a lot with punches, but I think that that's something you can actually do a lot on your own. I think that you and a friend could literally just in slow motion say, okay, if you're punching me here, the general concepts are the same. You don't want people to get grips on you. As an arm comes close, whether it's a punch or a grip, you're intercepting these things. So I think a lot of these things over time don't matter as much. I think if you take Keenan Cornelius and you put him on the street against a guy who doesn't know jiu-jitsu and they try to beat him up, they will lose. They will lose quickly and they will lose devastatingly. I think that's true of almost anybody who's skilled at jiu-jitsu. It's hard for me to imagine someone who's been training jiu-jitsu for 5 to 10 years, getting into a regular street fight one-on-one, and barring falling down and getting knocked out or a lucky punch, those things can happen. Barring that, I just don't see the average person beating them up. And I know there's always those stories. Oh, I know a purple belt who got his ass kicked, or I know. I think if you look at the bell-shaped curve, the bell-shaped curve that you learn about in school, right? Where like everybody in the middle, that's like the average is a C, and people over here got A's, and the people over here, got the lower scores. I think most of those people are going to be in the jujitsu will kick their ass. The people way out here are jujitsu will definitely kick their ass, and then you have a few back here who just weren't ready for the situation or just mentally aren't that strong, and didn't recognize the threat correctly and got beat up. That's my opinion on it. I do. Does that mean I don't think you should practice self-defense? I really do. I think you should take the time to train with punches and train with kicks and see what happens. But I don't think it needs to be an everyday thing. And moreover, I don't think that it's healthy to walk around worried that someone's going to beat you up all the time. Um, that's what causes PTSD. That's why soldiers come back with problems, is because you're switched on. For me, that's where it came on. I was switched on for over a year, just clicked on in high alert mode. Everything that moved, everything that did anything could try to kill me. So I had to be ready for that. And I don't think that you need to do that as on your average person. I think statistically, you're not going to get into those situations. So I'm not saying that you shouldn't prepare for them and that you shouldn't train and that it's wrong or whatever to worry about it. It certainly isn't. I'm a Gracie Jiu-Jitsu guy. I believe self-defense first and foremost. We have Fight Lab. We have all kinds of stuff. But I think that if you're walking around worried that you're going to get beat up, that's a problem. That's an issue that you need to address. Decide either you're doing some things in your life that are high intensity, high danger. Maybe your job puts you there, or you need to make some changes if possible. So if it's not your job that's putting you there, you're not a police officer, you're not in the military, you're not whatever, then figure out what it is in your life that's making you feel so uneasy. Are you living in a bad area? Move. Are you these kinds of things you need to change. Who are you surrounding yourself with? But back to the original question, do I think that training in a jiu-jitsu school can help you in a self-defense situation? Absolutely, I do. I don't think it's the perfect solution, but I just don't see the average person having any clue what to do, if just say ankle grab sweep them and then put them into you start tying up their legs into knots and putting on a heel hook. There's nothing they're going to do about it. What are they going to do? Palm you in the face while you destroy their ACL? Good, you got hit in the face. Now get up and walk away. They can't walk anymore. So that's my ideas, guys. Thanks for watching. The next video I put out will have the 5 tiny tips again. So I know that I don't do that every time. I don't always have time for it. So if you have any preferences, things you want to see in that, let me know. Talk to you later. Have a great one.